Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Extreme Sports Performance Podcast. My name's Ryan Blake, I'm the founder and CEO of Extreme Sports Performance. In this episode I'm going to be speaking to Mel Young. Mel is a friend and a colleague who I've known for over 3 years. She's a personal trainer, S&C coach, level 4 tutor and assessor, business owner and mum. We'll be chatting about transferring from the fitness to the S&C industry, working with female clients and training power athletes. We really enjoyed recording this episode, not as much as Mel's dog did when the doorbell rang, which you'll find out later on. Anyway, here we go. Hi Mel, thanks for joining us today on the Extreme Sports Performance Podcast.
Very welcome.
Pleasure to have you on. Can you just tell everyone who you are and what you do to start with?
Sure. So I'm Mel Young and I run Amazon 24 Fitness, which is a performance fitness centre down in Medways and Gillingham in North Kent.
Fantastic. And how long have you been involved in strength and conditioning for?
Well, I've been in fitness, so it's personal training, group fitness, teaching classes since about 2001. But actually got in, so I've trained athletes, I've trained various people through those years, but I've gone more heavily into strength and conditioning since about 2015.
Fantastic. And could you just give myself and the listeners a little bit of a background on where you've come from and what you've done along the way that's led you up to today?
Okay, so I've always been into leisure, fitness, sport, played sport for many, many years since I was sort of young. Various sports, starting from football, netball, and even ice skating, and then heavily went into hockey. So I played hockey for just over 20 years. So my real interest has always been around sport and fitness. Was weight training since sort of about 12, 13 years old. Used to love going to group sessions for kids, you know, and it was still a bit, I guess, taboo. As I'm 41 now, back then it was quite a taboo thing to do weights, but I actually really loved it and loved feeling strong. And so my interest for that, I wanted to take it on board and become qualified in it. I went to university, got qualified. Well, I got a degree, but I didn't really feel like I was qualified in much. It was a very broad degree back then in sort of the late 90s. Pursued sort of more of the fitness instructor qualifications, got those. Worked in local leisure centre, and then I moved to London to be a fitness instructor. But I actually, after the interview for the job, I actually got the fitness manager's job, and that was for Soho Gyms in Camden Town. And that was a massive learning curve for me because I'd never really done much management, and you know, my instruction or my training capability was only about 6 to 9 months old, so I was very new in a very big arena, as you know, for Camden. But I had an amazing managing director who was stationed at Camden, and he taught me a lot about the management side of things. And then I just learned as I worked through, and I become qualified as a personal trainer, and then started doing various classes as well as, you know, managing in the gym. And from that, it was just a massive learning experience. So after that, I then moved up to Norfolk and became a fitness manager at Valentine Health Club. And even though I loved what I did, I still loved the training aspect of it. So being in that management role was fine, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do. And because there was no kind of stepping stone, I didn't want to go into general management. I felt like I was kind of stuck a little bit. So it was having to be retrained. I then got asked by a local college, Lowestoft College, to do some teaching there. And then after a few months, they actually employed me full-time as a college lecturer. I did my teacher's degree. And I then developed the level 3 sort of BTEC awards, because they only did a level 2. Started getting them going, and I actually co-wrote a level 4 program, which was personal training and sports therapy, which was kind of cool. Then, so I was there for a few years, still did some teaching, some PTing, and then moved back down to Kent in 2013. I wanted, I suppose, a dream of mine was to actually be self-employed and develop my own business. And the job was, again, at Mid-Kent College, so college lecturer, but it was part-time, so that actually gave me the ability to start building something of my own, and that's where Amazon 24 kind of was created. And with the name, it's a little bit different, but that's been my nickname since I was about 14, 15, being 6 foot and maybe looking quite strong, I don't know. It was kind of my identity. And so I started to develop, and then I still wanted to go into strength and conditioning and work with more sports performance, so trying to come away from that kind of everyday, like weight loss or the normal day-to-day run-ins of training people. I wanted to be more sport specific, because that's what my kind of background was. And I dabbled, but I wanted to know more. And I saw the level 4 course, so Brendan Chaplin's course, actually on Facebook. It's a Facebook ad, and it was only because one of the girls that I really rated as a fitness trainer had kind of liked it and asked about questions about it. So I trusted that view and filled in the form, got a call from Brendan, and that's kind of where my SSC journey began. That was January 2015.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that. That's really interesting. And that's obviously how we know each other, connected through strength and conditioning education, co-tutoring and co-assessing the new level 4 course. Brilliant. So what would you say would be the 3 key moments from your career so far to date that's kind of been key in shaping you as a coach and maybe directing your career to where it is now?
I think one of the first ones was when I was working in London, working for Soho, and a guy asked me to train him, and he did it was some kind of Brazilian sort of street fighting that he was getting himself into, and that was really brand new for me, and it was really exciting and very challenging. And the fact that he trusted me to want him to train him to be able to go into competition, and he had obviously his kind of coach for the technical side of things, but he wanted me to train him fit, and the changes in him and the changes that I had helped him develop was incredible, really. It fascinated me, and that's, I think, brought a real interest to work more sort of sport specific and see what you can actually produce and how you can progress for someone to then go and compete at that kind of sport. So that'd be sort of one of them that really then focused my mind into that's what I wanted to do. I think the next one as a coach would be going into strength and conditioning from a personal trainer in the fitness industry, jumping on board and actually going more into S&C. I found the ethics behind it were a lot more about sharing your opinions and sharing your training concepts and sharing your experiences with other coaches and other professionals was a lot more, just seemed a lot more open and accepted. Whereas I found in the fitness industry, and I'm not dissing it at all, and I'm not like taking it what I got out of it, because I had a great time learning from that industry, but I found it could sometimes be a little bit my way is the only way, or you got to follow this, or you got to follow that. Whereas S&C is about the athlete, it's about the person that you're training, and that was a massive turning point for me. That I really enjoyed that atmosphere and that kind of learning experience a lot more, and that made me believe in myself a little bit more. That other coaches who I respected and influenced me gave me the opportunity to have that voice within the industry, and actually made me feel like I was doing a good job with the people that I was working with, and that's very valuable. I think that's a massive thing. And then the third, I think, is making that jump from working like a salary to then going self-employed. So again, sort of business related. It's it's made me become a lot more responsible and also really show how creative I can actually be and what I can build, and also open up to allow other people to come and work with me and share my vision of what I want it to become. So for me, I've seen myself, especially in the last 3 years, since January 2015, I've grown a lot and developed a lot, and for me that's because I've gone into S&C.
Fantastic. No, that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Mel. What would you say your top three areas of interest are right now as a coach? Because I know that you have specialised in a few areas, particularly working with female athletes and more recently with, Paralympic athletes. I don't know if there will be, considered in your answer, but what would you say your top three areas of interest are at the moment?
I think the areas that I've kind of gone into heavily it's just happened, and
Yeah.
I've pursued that, and I've loved it. I mean, I'm open to working with anyone, any sport, any discipline, because I quite like that challenge of having to, I worked with judo. Never watched a judo fight in my life before, I'd met the athlete. But to spend time with her when she was training, to learn about the sport, to learn about the different techniques, for me to then help her adapt, and get her stronger and more powerful, quicker, was really cool. But I guess the areas that I like at the moment, I mean, even though strength and conditioning, I do a lot of conditioning stuff, I love the strength part. That's just, I think, and that's always been me. So I love seeing someone get stronger and more powerful and explosive, and just really developing that they become so, I keep repeating the word, but so powerful within their sport. Para athletes, I've had an amazing time working with my para cyclists so far, and I'd love to, pursue that a little bit more. And I'm not afraid to work with any athlete that may have some kind of disability. And then, like as you say, again, working with female clients. Again, that was something that I just kind of fell into. Just some of the girls 3 years ago that wanted to do something a little bit different than just do the classes that I was offering. So I just created this 8-week beginner strength program, and it's just built each time I've done it, strength to strength, and now intermediate programs, and to watch them grow and evolve and become more assertive and more confident. So that, and they're not athletes; they're just everyday women that have come in, but the changes in them physically and psychologically is a massive thing, and that's become quite a nice little community. So they're probably, as in a component of what I like training, is strength, power, and the kind of people that I'm working with at the moment that I've really enjoyed are sort of the para side, and then my lady strength programs.
Yeah, fantastic. I do think it does really challenge you and shape you as a coach when you're faced with new experiences and things are put in front of you you're not so familiar with. I think a lot of people are very comfortable being comfortable, but being comfortable when you're uncomfortable is key to kind of developing you as a coach.
Yeah, no, very much so. Very much so. I think that's where sometimes trainers give up in a way, because they don't challenge themselves, so they get bored and they get a bit, oh no, is this it? Is this all that I'm going to do, is train the same sort of person, or how do I get more clients, or and it's because they're just, it's not their fault, and it's not because they're not good. It's just that they stay where it feels safe.
Yeah.
And you've got to try new things, and they're not all going to work. But if you don't try, I wouldn't know that 3 years ago I'd now 3 years down the line be running a pretty successful ladies strength program, where I've got members. They pay memberships. They come every week. They love coming every week. They hate missing sessions because they've done it themselves. They've formed this amazing community that they feel they're part of something. And that was just because I thought, I'll give it a go. I'll develop something. And I've evolved the training program. The training program they do now is not the same as what they did 3 years ago. And I try and change it, and I try and give them different things to do and different challenges. And us as coaches, we need to get out of our comfort zone and try and do something a little bit different, or keep reading, keep researching, and you see that the successful coaches are the ones that keep developing themselves.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, staying still or staying safe is fine, but you can't really expect yourself to develop or as many opportunities to be presented if that's how you approach things, especially with this day and age as well, and how quickly things are changing, and how much new research is coming out. So just before I move on to the next question, I just wanted to kind of just follow up on what you've said. Like, my personal kind of interest and the interest of the listeners, what would you say, if you had to pick maybe one thing, what would you say the biggest challenge would be when working with with female athletes and B, with para athletes?
Female clients, whether they're, just sort of doing the training or athletes, I think they... My dog.
Providing fantastic background noise and sound effects. Love it.
The doorbell's gone, and now the dog's barking. That's the only time it barks, is when the doorbell goes, and then he just licks everybody to death.
Fantastic.
Shush. Yeah, see who it is. Go on. He's brilliant. We've had him since he was 8 weeks. He's 12 in November.
Bless him. What's his name?
Harry.
Awesome. That's a good dog.
Harry the Lurcher.
Yeah, that's a good dog name.
Yeah, he is awesome. He's a good dog. Right, sorry.
So yeah,
right.
just carry on from where you were. So it was just asking what you said the biggest challenges would be with working with
women,
female clients, yeah, or athletes and para athletes and clients.
Okay. So there's a big difference between athletes and kind of sort of clients that come in to train, because athletes that have found they're obviously a lot more driven. They've got a purpose, they've got a mass objective, and they know that the training is important, and they just have that self-motivation. So, even though, yes, I have to motivate, I have to kind of keep them focused, they want to do it because, it's their passion, and that's the reason why. So there's two differences there. But with the females, it's more psychological. It's like a brain game, a mind game. And there's lots of self-doubt and negativity and fear and intimidation, and there's all those different emotions. It's more emotional, so there's lots of emotion that fly about, but once I've kind of got past the fact that they're in, and then I set them small goals, so very achievable small goals. So the fact is, it's just trying to raise their confidence and their belief that they can achieve, these programs. And I think that's why they come back, because they become, there are changes in their personalities and characters, especially for some of them who are quite shy, or are quite afraid of doing this type of working out or this type of programs. There's massive psychological changes. That's what I found with the women. So it's not always about the physical aspect of it. Obviously, they're going to look good and feel good, but it's actually the psychological aspect, which is a lot more important for them.
Yeah, sure. No, that makes complete sense. And
so there's that. And then with the para athletes, it's just about being creative. It's been the most, like the last 2.5 years that I've been training paracyclists. He came to me as this skinny little 16-year-old who didn't even know what SSC meant, and his coordination and balance was all over the place. And he's become this robust, strong, and really loves the strength and conditioning work. It makes him feel good. But obviously, because of his disability, and the thing is with para athletes, their disabilities are all different.
Yeah.
There isn't one set thing. It can be anything, and it's about being creative and about just trying to develop a program that is allowing them to feel like they can achieve what everyone else does, but they just might have to do it slightly differently. And I think that we've got that. But he's also, he said in his own words that it's also helped him with everyday life as well. It's given him a lot more confidence of being able to do things for himself and be able to look after himself, which is great.
I think the empowerment that you can give people you work with as a coach is invaluable, despite who they are, what they do, what their background is, any challenges they have. Like if you can empower people, then it's a very powerful skill to possess. That's one thing that, as you know, I work with a lot of junior athletes, and it's just getting them to first of all understand.
I'm losing you a bit, Ryan.
Oh, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Keep cutting out.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the signal should be okay. No, I was just saying. I think the empowerment factor you can have with athletes or clients as a coach is incredibly powerful and valuable. And
Yeah,
I think it can really change their way they look at things, not just in their sport and their fitness, but also in their life. And I think a lot of people sometimes forget that how influential they can be once their person they are working with has left the gym, which is brilliant. So just moving on, what would you say the most three valuable things you've learnt to date are? Now you can answer this as a coach or as a mum, as a wife. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to sport or coaching, but it's just something I always ask everybody, and just really interested to see what your thoughts are on that.
is okay. It's sort of sounding a bit too corny, but is you have to believe in your own capabilities, whether that's like you're surrounded by competition. This is obviously business and as a coach, but you're surrounded by competition whatever you do. And I think for me, what I've had to really do is focus on what I'm doing and who I am as a coach, what I want my clients, how they should feel when they walk out of the centre, and to kind of believe that what I want to achieve is very achievable. So that's been a real massive learning curve for me. I think on a personal level, when you're going into something. When I going into S&C, I've been personal training for years, but going into S&C, I really found out actually I didn't know bugger all, really.
Yeah, sure.
Just the amount of information that's out there, and it's very overwhelming. And then you then start being asked by people who've been in the industry a long time, and they ask for your opinions and they ask for answers and justifications, and that can be very scary.
Yeah.
So what I've had to do is to obviously you've got to educate yourself, and you've got to keep reading, all those sort of things, but also I've got to believe that what I say is because that's what I feel is the way, or is the way it is, it's how I train people, because everyone's different, but also I've got to believe that I am good at what I do, and I don't want to make it into a male-female thing, but as a female in a very male-dominated arena within fitness and S&C, and there's loads of amazing female coaches that are out there, you do feel you have to just push that a little bit harder to kind of be seen and be known and be recognised and be respected as for what you do.
Yeah.
And so that's been a massive thing for me, and I think I certainly don't know it all. I've got lots to still learn. I learn from working with others, and I love the people that I work with. I enjoy working with people that I can learn something from, but I've got a lot more self-confidence and a lot more belief in what I can do, and so which helps you then push, like we were saying earlier, pushes you out of your comfort zone, because you're like, well, it's going to be all right. And I think that's when you can get to that place in your own head, that's when you start to see the success, I think.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really interesting, Mel. I completely agree. I think I was very underconfident when I first started out. Obviously thought I knew everything, but then quickly realised I knew nothing. And just being in it, just being in the trenches and making those mistakes. I've made, like many people have, more mistakes than I haven't. And then just gaining a little bit more humility as you get older, and be in the presence and the company of people who are actually fantastically good at what they do, and they rub off on you, and you self-develop. But it's a slow journey, isn't it? It's not
Massively,
a quick one. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it is, and I think as a coach, I think you have to be open to get it wrong, but also learn from other people, and you can learn from someone that you never thought you would. But just by being with them, working with them, listening to them, watching them, you'll just pick up lots of different little things. It's a good place to be.
Fantastic. So, who would you say you don't have to name three, but if you can, that'd be great. Who would you say your top three influences are so far to date?
That's a hard one, because I think there's a lot more than three.
Yeah.
I think coming into from an S&C point of view, doing all the courses, meeting all the coaches that I've worked with, the guys that when I first went into the strength and conditioning course back in January, I was with there was about 30 of us that were on the course, and there was 28 guys and me and this other girl. But the whole intake, we just gelled really, really well. It was quite a special weekend, and we learnt off each other so much. And I'd say about 12 to 15 of us have kept in contact either via Facebook, and some of them I've gone to their places and we've met up. And just watching them on social media and how they've developed, that's quite an influence on me to sort of see the people that I started out with and how well they've done, and just their knowledge and the way they put themselves across, and the things that they've done either with youth or with athletes or sports specific. Even though we don't see each other all the time, it's a massive network, and they influence me with the different things that I see that they do. And I hope I kind of do it back as well. So there's a little kind of intake group that I thought, I can watch every day. They post stuff, and they influence me, and they kind of drive me to carry on, because I can see how well they're doing, and I congratulate their success. So I don't mean that I'm being jealous of what they do. I think it's amazing, but they influence me to carry on and build and get better, because they're doing the same.
Brilliant.
And then I like what I said at the beginning about going into strength and conditioning, just the openness. So all the coaches that I've come across within, who have been there a lot longer than me, so within our little intake, yourself and Tristan and Brendan and Dave Pember, and there's lots of you guys that have influenced me and helped me kind of with my journey. And then all my clients, the ones that come in week in, week out, and they moan at me, they swear at me, they rant at me, they laugh, they cry. I have a box of tissues in the gym because, we've got quite some emotional clients.
Brilliant.
But they influence me because they've got trust in me to help them and for what they want to achieve, and that influences me to always develop myself and be better and help them reach their goal, I guess. So they're my kind of 3 areas of influence.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I really like the last one. I think I need to get a box of tissues in my gym. There's some very sensitive sausages here. You've got
little sensitive souls. I've got hormones.
Yeah. It's a powerful thing, and I think people who are just starting out their coaching journey, I don't think they realise how much people share with them. Because people learn they trust you very quickly, and you're just almost like a sounding board for sanity, or just to allow people to get stuff off their chest. So you're a little bit of I always say to people, you're never 100% coach. You're 25% coach, you're 25% parent, 25% teacher, and usually 25% clown. Just because you have to provide some sort of entertainment or cheer somebody up, or get them their energy levels in the right place before you start. So it's a multifaceted role, I find.
Yeah, definitely. You do have to cater
for
a lot of needs, not just the training needs. And when I teach group fitness, you become this ridiculous idiot at front, not only trying to get them fit, but getting them motivated, going with the music, and I love that. Just have a laugh of it, exercise with fun. But when you get one-to-ones or your small groups, it can be quite a lot to take on board, especially if someone's having some difficulties in their life, or they're just having a bad day, whatever, and they come into that room, I shut the door, and it all comes out, and they load that on you. And sometimes it can be quite tough, because sometimes some of the things that they tell you is not particularly nice, and you can't do anything about it. It's something they have to go through and tackle. But that hour that they're with you, that's their time, it's their release. They get to exercise, which, as we all know, is one of the best kind of stress releases anyway. And for me, for them to leave that room with the shoulders have relaxed, they're standing a bit tall, they've got a smile on their face, and they're like, "That I feel so much better now. I've done that." And that might only last another couple of hours until they have to deal with the crap again. But for me, that's amazing, and it's important that they can do that.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. One of my friends actually yesterday told me that his wife's just lost a job. They're getting evicted from their house, and he was not happy. And then he just joined in with one of the circuits that we went through yesterday, and he felt a lot better. It might not have, obviously wouldn't have lasted, all evening, but I think for that, for a couple of hours after he's finished, it did take his mind off it. So it's the power of what we do is a fantastic thing, and it can have, as you know, far more than just physical effect.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's why I think coaches and trainers need to sort of bear that in mind, that you have got to have that kind of connection with your client to get the best out of them. And that's not with just gym, it's with SSCs, with everything. Even if they are motivated to do the work because the goal is to obviously get better at their sport, they're still going to have bad days. They're still going to come in tired or haven't recovered properly, or competition didn't go very well, so they're very down about it. And it's up to you to not only train them, but to kind of lift them out of that and be part of a working team with their other coaches to make sure that they can cope with everything that's thrown at them, so they progress and they do well in the sport.
Yeah. Fantastic, Mel. So if you needed to find out more information about something or new information about something, where would be your go-tos? Where would you go? Who would you ask? What would you search if you wanted to find out something new?
I think the network. I think having a network of different coaches, of coaches that you respect and you get on with, that influence you, I think is really important. I don't think any coach should think that they have to be on their own, or that they should know everything, or they should specialise in everything. There's a lot out there, and you can be good at a few things but need help with other areas. So having a network of coaches that know different things or got experiences or knowledge on different areas, I think is really important. And then you can chat to each other, email, whatever. Go visit them, watch what they do. I think is really important, and I've done that. I've travelled quite a lot around the country, working and spending some time with various coaches, and I've learned a lot from that. Everyone's got their own style, their own way of doing things, and that gives you just a bigger resource pack, really, of what you then can do with your guys. As in learning, I try and although I can kind of read stuff out, I can obviously search on the internet. I've got loads of books and things like that, but I like to go to just sort of 2-day workshops. Again, I'm better at seeing things, and that's how I learn in a more effective way. So I try and get to as many workshops as I can. And I think I learn from working with my clients as well. So I know it's not really like learning new stuff, but they're full of surprises sometimes. So I kind of learn from them. But I guess academically it would be workshops, but also network. I like talking to other coaches. I get a lot more out of that than just reading books.
Yeah, fantastic. I think it ultimately comes down to people and conversations, because that's what we do every day anyway, and that's more with maybe more with clients or athletes, but doing it with other coaches is where I've learned probably 80% of what I know now, or from watching other people, talking to other people. Not necessarily SSC coaches or sports scientists, but also people who work inside different areas, so physios, doctors, sport-specific coaches, etc., nutritionists, psychologists, and I just find it fascinating to have those conversations, because they just say these things where you think, oh yeah, why didn't I realise that, or why have I never thought of that? And it does open your mind to a different way of thinking. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you just got to talk to people. I think communication is key. And
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to pick up. And also, you never know who you're going to meet, I think, with networking as well. For me, the fact that I'm working with a paracyclist is because I was on the same course and networked with back then, the British Cycling Para Development Manager. So, and it was a case of, well, I've got a cyclist, he lives near you, do you think you can help him? And that's how it happened, I didn't apply, I didn't kind of sort of bombard people going, I want to work with people. It was literally, there's a kid, he's got potential, he lives near you, can you see him? And 2.5 years down the line, he's smashing it, and it's been a brilliant journey. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I mean, I'm exactly the same. All of the opportunities and roles I've had are from kind of ripple effects from meeting people, talking to people, and networking. It's they always say a famous old phrase of not what but who, and I think there is a little bit of what involved, but there's definitely more who, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, definitely. And the opportunities, it's the same. Opportunities that I've been given is because I've talked to people. And also, I think also you do have to show what you do. I think it's important for people, because I always used to say to students at my college, when you're showing what you're doing, or if you're working somewhere, or even if you're volunteering, always be the best that you can be, because you never know who's watching.
Yeah.
You never know, just because you might not get loads of likes or people commenting on social media doesn't mean to say they're not watching what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they're impressed, they will then get in contact with you, and it'll be out of the blue thing, but it will be awesome. So you just got to stop worrying about social media stuff so much. Stop worrying about what other people are doing or what they're saying, or the critics or whatever. It's just concentrate on what you're doing. Make sure you're working with real people. Surround yourself with positivity, and people are watching. And if they like what they see, then you'll get your next kind of opportunity come up. So
the process is a key part of the core. The results matter, but the process matters more, from my point of view, and that's definitely something it took me a while to realise. But I completely agree with you. So the next couple of questions, Mel, just to kind of finish up, because I don't want to keep you too long, because we both got busy days. What would you say? And this question always gets people umming and erring and not liking me as much, because it's quite a difficult question to answer. But if you had to choose 3 sports performance exercises or drills, the top ones that you've used, what would you say right now they'd be?
Okay, so there's your...
There's the and err.
It's because there's so many. I suppose as soon as you sort of ask that, and I think, well, strength and conditioning, and I've got to remember all the drills and all the conditioning drills. But I love strength. I love it. So I think, and then I think about who I work with, and then obviously at the moment, my biggest client who trying to progress him is my para athlete. So I sort of think the things that have really progressed him. It's been quite a journey for him because of obviously his disability. But the one things that he hates doing, but has really helped him progress, is box jumps, which I know is a ridiculous thing because it's very easy. But we use we hold dumbbell weights for his. And I learned this off another S&C coach, and he holds dumbbells, which is quite heavy. And it's kind of tricking the brain that there's a big weight that he's about to jump. And then as soon as he jumps onto the box, he lets go of the weights, and it's just improved his power, and it's also, it improves the height that he can make. And that was kind of a cool concept, and he quite enjoyed doing it after a while because it made him look good, the fact that he was smashing his weights on the floor as he was jumping. But awesome. it really did improve his power, and that was used sort of to help with his start. So that's one of the ones that I love. I love another exercise, again, power and strength is, so you want like actual exercises or just anything? You don't know.
I love how people always answer these with sub-questions. I don't mind. I don't mind.
Because you're so quiet, and I know. I just answering it in the right way.
I just want to hear what you think. So,
phrases, the exercises that I like.
I think in episode 1 when I answered this, I think I said something like snatch, trap bar, deadlift, and I think it was something along the lines of sprints or maximum aerobic speed shuttles. So
you've got box jump with weights, and so my next one is single arm dumbbell snatch. Love those.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, love them, and I like doing them myself as well. Just real, and you've got to have a good solid weight in your hand. There's no point doing it with a little one. So really get a big old tough old dumbbell, and so I think it's a quality exercise. And third one, I quite like. I do some sprint drills because especially kind of playing a little bit more with the rugby, and so I've integrated these, especially with the girls. So various sprint drills, just teaching them how to actually run effectively, and just adapting it so it's a straight line or multi-directional, and they're always good fun.
Fantastic.
As well. But so they're my three that I've enjoyed doing.
I do love. I know it's very simple, but I just love getting people to sprint because you can just tell so much about them, and especially about acceleration, deceleration, but also top end speed. Now it's one of my personal areas of development or interest, and even when you can slow people down on your phone or on a camera and look at them frame by frame, there's a hell of a lot you can tell about someone's athletic quality by their sprint ability or their high speed running technique. So I agree. I'm just fascinated by it.
Yeah, and I think if you can change, just tweak the way that they move, and then it bang there, and they feel it themselves, and you can see that like, oh my god, it's ran really fast. And I love, I don't run as fast as I used to 20 years ago, but I used to love that feeling of sprinting down, when I played hockey, the right wing, and once I developed a good mechanics and just feeling that speed increase is pretty cool.
It is awesome, and they say that strength punishes but speed kills, don't they? So it's always a nice weapon to have in your artillery as an athlete. So last question, Mel. What would you say your top pieces of advice would be in life, exercise, and/or sports science, if you were going to give them to the younger you, or someone starting out in the industry?
Have a real clear path of where you want to go.
Yep.
So have an identity and stick to it. So for me, even though I do lots of different things, if you see me and my logo and what I portray is strength. So that's kind of how I advertise is that it's all about strength. But obviously when I train, there's all the different elements. So, but I think you have to have some kind of identity because people remember that.
Yep.
And you've got to have consistency in being that person. Continue developing and learning, which is a bit of a cliche, but it's true. You can't just sort of learn something and you can't become a personal trainer or you can't become a strength and conditioning coach and then say, oh, I've done the course, that's it. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people going into the industry thinking that because they've done the qualification, then that's it, they're set. They'll find very, very quickly that they're not. And so, it's just that continuation of learning. And networking, I think, is one of the most important things. Communicating, networking, making the effort to go and travel and see other people, talk to other people, go to conferences, go to summits, go to, so you don't necessarily have to pay lots of money to do loads of courses. You can go to these awesome kind of day workshops that people that have been in the field a long time put on, and you learn so much, and then you meet people, and that's kind of how your kind of networking group grows. So I think they're the things that I wish I'd done when I was a little bit younger, and just have that focus a bit more of. I kind of always knew I wanted to work within performance, but I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
I think now there's more opportunities. There's there's lots of things around, but sometimes I think it can become quite confusing. There's so much, so many people saying, "Oh, look, come and join me, and I can build you this and get these amount of clients and do this and do that." Don't bother with that. It's just literally what you want to be doing is focusing on you, developing you as a coach, build on what you want to achieve, and then just stick to it and working hard and being consistent. And I think that's solid advice.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No, I completely agree with you, and I think it's a difficult mindset to get into, especially when you are just starting out. But you just need to keep that at the forefront of your mind all the time. It's easy to be sidetracked and distracted or confused or overwhelmed. But yeah, you just got to keep honest to yourself and just keep on that path that you want, really.
And when you're given the tools, when you have learned something, it's go and use them. Take action and just go for it, and be prepared that not everything will work or things will go wrong, and not to be too disheartened by it. You just kind of learn from it and then crack on with the next project or the next kind of concept that you want to get into. And I always think if you need help, work with people that you know are going to help you and influence you in a way and aren't going to strip you of thousands of pounds, but actually are going to give you some sound advice.
You've actually got quite an exciting couple of months coming up. What have you got ahead of you?
Okay, so October is a pretty epic month. So for the first time, I am running with a friend of mine. We're running a yoga strength retreat in Corfu, which is going to be amazing. We've got 10 people signed up, and I'm really looking forward to doing our first one, actually, seeing how it goes. Fortunately, everyone that's coming knows us. So if we get it a little bit wrong, hopefully it won't be too bad, but I'm excited about that. And then a couple of weeks later, I'm off to the Invictus Games in Sydney.
Fantastic.
My husband is an athlete in the team UK, so I've been helping him kind of prepare. He's doing sitting volleyball, discus shot, wheelchair tennis. So it's very, very exciting. And I'm also been asked to help with some S&C to prep the athletics throwing team.
Fantastic.
Which is all being held at the Sydney Olympic ground, which is going to be absolutely epic. So that's going to be great. We're out there for 12 days. And just really excited to not only be, I was excited to be part of it, just the fact that, Daz, my husband's going, because both myself and our son are going out there, but to get a phone call and actually be asked just to help out for a couple of days and help the athletes was really cool. So
that's fantastic.
Really
congrats on that. That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and then just developing my business, and it's got a few big plans coming sort of for the new year, which I'm really excited about. And see what happens.
Awesome. Nice. Well, hopefully we potentially could be working together in Dubai as well.
I know.
In the coming months. Subject to availability. But yeah, that will be interesting and exciting. So if people want to get in touch with you, Mel, what's the best way of finding you and being able to contact you?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It's all Amazon 24 Fitness. And just get me through there. They can see what I do, and they can message me. I really don't mind. So if anyone's got any questions on, if they're looking into training anybody that I've had experiences with, then that's kind of the three main areas that they can get hold of me, and they can find me easily. There's got the ugly mug as profile pictures.
Awesome. That's great. I'll put those links in the show notes to the podcast, so people can just click directly on them. So stay on the line, but I just wanted to finish by saying thanks very much for your time. Really, really interesting conversations, and I hope the listeners have learnt a lot and enjoyed our chat. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the 8th episode. We hope you enjoyed the show. please don't hesitate to leave us a rating or review on your listening platform of choice. If you haven't already, please check out our website. We have weekly blogs on our blog page. You can sign up to our monthly newsletter via our sign up page. Our online store consists of personal coach, training programs, nutrition plans, interactive training systems, toolbox, and coming very soon, membership packages. We also have several social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Links to all these can be found at the bottom of every page on our website or via any search engine. That's all for now. Until next time, take care.